drink it. You want to eat something, eat it. Why always this feeling of guilt? This is what Freud said. And one devotee in front of me quoted that. A devotee shouldn't have so much feeling of guilt. It's strange, Maybe it's wrong what I'm doing. Maybe I will get a sinful reaction. Don't bother. Relax. Be happy. That's a demon preaching. Demons are like that. They call it positive thinking. Just be positive. You want to eat a cow? Eat it. There's no reaction. There's no life after life. There's no supreme authority. There's nothing. That's a demoniac preaching. So in Krishna consciousness, the more serious you are, there will be some awakening of conscience. Because one feature of demons is they have no conscience. There's no idea. It could be wrong what I'm doing. But then you chant, it wakes up. You have the example of the hunter Migari. When he started to chant, he realized, my God, I killed all these animals, even halfway killed. There's a conscience. I just came through a server to my website. There was a short footage. In Argentina they played football, obviously on some very domestic football field, kind of village type. And the dog came running and he started to play football with them. Village dog, And one of the football players, he was typical Argentina, passionate South American guy. So he got so upset with the dog. He grabbed him on his throat and he threw him through the whole football field, out over the fence. And the dog didn't make it over the fence, he hit the fence and fell back. But he was a pretty elastic dog, he was probably used to this kind of treatment. So he just started to run away. And the whole stadium came down on that football player. He threw bottles on him and he was expelled from the game, he was expelled from the football club. His career was ruined because he threw the dog. It's called conscience. It's pathetic, of course. Probably if you would kill another football player, they wouldn't mind so much. But there is an emotion which tells you, what have you done? People have this emotion still, like especially when you harm children, when people are just immediately activated. What? What are you doing? This is natural. As a matter of fact, there's a trick in material nature. Everything small. It can be a small bird, small cat, small dog, a small child immediately commands protection and affection from others. Didn't you notice that? If a grown-up person goes in the street, something happens, people go, yeah, okay. When a child, everybody comes running. And a small cat, something is on the street, a small cat on the street, everybody comes and picks up, what are you doing here? Because actually it's arranged by Krishna that the weak ones get protected by the stronger ones. And that impulse is there. And if it's violated, like in form of meat eating, well, that's what the demoniac nature prevails. So in Krishna consciousness, when you chant, consequently, then your awareness of your surroundings should increase. And you should be aware how much you are harming the other living entities, and how much you are standing in the way of others, and how much your action will provoke reaction. Even great devotees like Arjuna or Yudhishthira broke down. Arjuna before the battle of Kurukshetra and Yudhishthira after. And both times Krishna had to preach, now, you will fight for me. And you became a king for me. You are free from all sin, don't worry. But the more purified and the more aware the devotee is, the more he's concerned. My God, what will be the reactions to my actions? Whereby covered person doesn't have that problem. Therefore he feels sometimes more happy. No problem. Ignorance is bliss. No problem. And this is what Prabhupada actually provoked in devotees. He introduced them in a process where he made them more and more aware. Don't cut that tree. It doesn't have to be done. Why should you cut a tree if you don't? No need it to be cut. Prabhupada was furious. He came back to the temple. There was a big tree which was actually growing over the main pathway to the temple. And many people passing by the thick branch of the tree, hit their heads on it. So finally the temple president decided this is too much. So many people, he didn't kill the whole tree, he just cut this whole heavy, sink. Half of the tree was gone. Prabhupada said, Prabhupada just exited the car before he entered the temple. He said, who did this? And there was like, when they called the culprit, Prabhupada was furious. He said, you Westerners, you see some problem, your only response is cut it off. You don't solve the problem, you just cut it. Oh, another thing he said, you try to plaster it with money. You can, any stupid thing or mistake you do, you don't rectify the mistake. You don't learn, you don't make things better. You just think because you have so much money, you can just plaster it with money. In other words, actually you throw it out and buy something else. You don't deal with these things. Prabhupada was so upset about this Western mentality. What to speak of the interference between male and female, and this was, Prabhupada was so furious. When you read his letters, how kindly he is attentive to the newly married couples. How he is monitoring them, and are you happy with your husband, and are you happy with your wife? And he was a sannyasi, and we know that Grihastha Ashrama is loaded with illusions. No, Prabhupada was attentive. This is important for your spiritual progress. I can read you even a whole letter which is a pure advertisement for Grihastha Ashrama, encouraging people. But then they started to change it. Actually, I don't like her anymore, she doesn't like him anymore, and they'll have to switch it around. Prabhupada was shocked. He said, but you promised in front of the deity, in front of the fire, that you have a vow here. How are you changing though? How can you do such a thing? So finally he was very, very disappointed and he took complete distance from this. Because he saw this ruthless Western mentality, just to consume your environment. Just enjoy. That's it. And if it doesn't work, get something else. So this is, Prabhupada gave us much more as just the ecstasy of chanting holy name. He gave us a human life actually, and he expected us to follow it. As one old Mataji, my god sister, said, she took back a husband who took sannyas, fell down and came back to her again. And usually it's not a very glorious situation. And she took him back, and she's like an old German woman. She said, if this is the only thing I could do right in my life, not fool around with other men, and stick to my vows and to my marriage, then at least I have done something. For a woman, this is the real thing, especially for a woman, but for men too. So there's a certain promise in front of Krishna given. Prabhupada said, I will not break. Of course, people do. And they find all kinds of explanations why. We have a little lecture here because of this.
Oh, yeah.
So we should listen. Yeah. Anyway, it's getting late. Yeah.
There's 5 minutes left.
Anyway, we're still rolling. We have to go, huh? Did you wait for the outro?
No, I just heard something knocking outside on the door.
There's some comments, please. Some questions?
Getting late?
What is this, 7:45 or 8:45?
Yeah, quarter to 8. 20 to 8.
It's getting late. We're ready for tomorrow. Huh?
You mentioned this with the snowstorm, but still the inside is, I just had an experience with this. I remember I was in Sankirtan and I wanted to have a rest, and then rest in the car, it's 3 seats and it's bumpy, and But when I rested there and I wake up, I was feeling I had just slept in a heavenly bed,
Yeah.
That was the feeling.
I have it until today when I sit in a car, eat in a car, sleep in a car. Completely different thing. But that's because I was so long in a place. When I go in a house, completely different. It used to be very expensive. Especially when you renovate the 2 houses, start to get with construction involved. It's very actually conditioning. You don't see the world. Once you're involved with these things, you don't see this thing like others do. Others think just, it's nice, there's a table, let's eat. And you think, oh no, and how is this done, and and who did the piping, and and I spoke to few devotees who were exposed to similar situations. They are conditioned in the same way. You say, it cannot be any more peaceful in the house. Because there's always something to improve. It doesn't matter how great the house is or how new or old it is. There's always something. These houses are like traps. They are like, like coffins. And you are locked in there, and then you renovate here, renovate there. You improve this, then you move the furniture like this. Karmis always do that. And they sit like this, and they go, no, let's change the curtains. And then they go like this, and then they look like this, and at the end you die. You die in your all decorated coffin. And you cut the grass and it grows again, you cut it again. And you're trying to control the environment. I remember one grihasta in Alvik, which is one of the most difficult places to live, especially when it's raining for 2 months non-stop. There's so much mud in that place. Our previous GBC used to say, actually we cannot grow any grain here, we should just make pottery. We should just make something with that mud, because there's so much mud. I remember, this was in the early days, now it's probably better standard, but I remember one of my grandfathers living there. He came out of this wooden cottage which was surrounded by mud. And the mud was of such a nature, it was like a herd of cows was walking around the house, and they really stir up the mud. So it was just mud, you couldn't go to the house without gummy shoes or something, not possible. He just came out and he carried this huge wooden pallet, the pallet you store things on, and he opened the door and he slammed it into the mud, So it was standing in this mud. It was the only place you could stand on. And he smiled cynically and he said, well, at least that much space we got under control. It was the size of the pallet, just lying in the mud. The rest, we are finished. So anyway, what was the point? So cars are something, cars can also break, but once you are in a car, you have the freedom. It's called luxury of sannyas.
It will break.
Huh? It will break.
It's meant to break.
Of course it will break, but the lifestyle is very simple. You don't touch so much the environment. You can get attached to anything, of course, but it's not. Houses have this tendency to really nail you in, and at the end you just go around. And I remember my father, he was so focused on, in certain levels, he was so focused on perfection. He couldn't handle painting hanging like this one. It's not straight, right? He wouldn't be able to be 2 seconds sitting in a room like this. He immediately would get up, fix the painting so it is exactly hanging perfectly. 90 degrees, like this. We used to tease him with my mother. We knew he's coming back 12 o'clock, so we moved all the paintings a little bit, hanging on the walls, a little bit. And he came with his instrument, from the work. He was a musician. He put the instrument on the floor. He didn't even say good day, hello, nothing. Completely ignored us. Completely passed us through and immediately fixed all the paintings straight. And we were like, This is how conditioned we can become. And after a while, the senses wear out. You think, oh no, the sofa is the same color. How many times is that? No, I have to buy a new sofa. And then you change the sofa and you think, a new thing happened. And they visit each other, the Grihamegis, And they have parties and they go, oh, you have a new sofa. And then the lady goes, oh, that was nothing. We just bought it, no problem. Yeah. And that's like the fun of the party, to show each other furniture. It's hilarious how you can get conditioned. So the beauty, the pleasure, the real pleasure comes from outside. This is decoration from outside. And it gives you some kind of feeling for a few seconds. Yeah, it's nice. I have done it. I control my environment here. I have my little God here, in my little home. Yes. But then what? There's no action. You sit in your fancy Norwegian house, and they have these clocks in Norway, these old ones, They stand in a corner, and they go, and every 1 hour they go, blong, blong, blong. This is the countdown for your death. You can just sit there and hear how the countdown is cluck, 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 and one day Finished. It's terrifying to be in these kind of places, silence. No life, nothing. In India, it's so far out, it's hilarious. I was invited in Vrindavan to a marriage. That marriage means something like 300 people minimum for a whole week together. And there were new wife and new bride, a new husband, and it was a big thing, celebration, And I asked, then where are you going to live? And they said, here. I said, what do you mean here? It was a room of this size. And it was at least 20 people inside. And this was residence. And they said, no, they will move here. You see, there's still a place under the bed, and put some luggage here, and then you just sleep here like that. Zero privacy. That's India, They say, yeah, we need more space. What does it mean? You just move to the side, and then there's still space enough to squeeze another one there. That's the Indian logic. In the West, they have like an empty big house, and I'm here. It's my space. Just me. This is called sinful. This is actually a sign of atheism. In India, the whole India functions like this. The Muslims invaded, and the Indians are going, okay, they squeezed a little bit, okay, there's just place for a Muslim here, If so many far out people can live together in India in one pile, and they don't basically kill each other. Sometimes they do, but it's usually just a political agitation. But by nature, no, because they think somehow everybody should have some space here, so what? Here, if you touch somebody here, he's immediately offended. Such a cursed place to be. But once again, we are so habituated, we don't know it. You can go endlessly overcoming habituation. What kind of places they accept as enjoyable? What kind of mode of action they think it's normal? It's shocking. And the more one becomes Krishna conscious, the more one just becomes just amazed. How can people live like this? How could have I done like this? I lived in this. It's like another lifetime. I cannot imagine how can I do that? Generally, Prabhupada said, I transferred the curse of Narada Muni, who is cursed not to stay anywhere more by Daksha, who is cursed not to stay anywhere longer as 3 days. Prabhupada said, I transferred the curse to my disciples. I'm cursed also like that by my spiritual master. I will never feel somewhere really at home. It's called preaching. So temporary. You pass through these places here. The older you get, the more funny it gets. Because actually, consequently, you should remember how temporary these places where you were in, and how you suffered or enjoyed in a particular situation, which you can hardly remember. It's gone. Finished. From all the misery of Sankirtan, from all the pain, from the weather, from the karmis, from the police or whatever, at the end you remember just the bliss, that's all. The mind is actually mind has a nice function. He suppressed the negative thing. Krishna is kind of inspiring you just to remember the positive things. And the negative thing you just... Yeah. But why to also remember that? It doesn't do anything. You cannot dwell on the past. You have to go on. And if one would see, so many lifetimes we had and bodies and relatives and these armies of wives and children we had. So what's so pathetic about this lifetime? What's the big thing? Why do you take it so serious? It's easy to say, I know, it's easy to say. Because somehow the reality is, this what we are perceiving now, it's like real, Well, Prabhupada said, what you need daily to survive is a place to lay down, something to eat. And if you get some nice association to it, that's luxury. You're enjoying yourself, What do you need more? Really? Especially the association part. People, for the sake of body or luxury, they take such a hellish association. And they know it's hellish. They hate this, but they will do it. Just to secure that financial level so they can actually enjoy what? At the end you are alone there, sitting there somewhere. I saw it always in Croatia. You know, people work hard or they cheat, steal. It's also described all in Bhagavatam how you make money. You know. And then they buy themselves a huge boat. And then they go in the ocean and they're there. Doing what? You are just roasting yourself in the sun. For what? This one here is very heavy. Typical sort of stuff. Never he saw these people on the beach, you know, lying and just roasting, then they turn around, you know, they roast themselves like this. He called them stool pakoras. Pretty accurate. Just, you know, it's getting brown. For what? What's the meaning of this? If you want to have a really good demonstration, you have to go and visit Alitana in his little car. You know. Now he is there doing really something. He's like editing Bhagavad Gita, sitting on his funny chair, and he has a garden and the glass house and so growing around him, and he's all figured out, you know. But the rest of the people there, they don't really know what to do. So but they are there all the time. Because they are just pensioners. They have nothing to do. There's one guy, I remember, he's drunk constantly. But he's brown like African, you know, because he's just roasting himself in the sun all the time, you know, and he's just living on this 20 square meters. And he's not even doing much there, it's just grass. So when the grass a little bit grows, he cuts it. And then he leaves even the grass cut in the middle because he's not finished yet. But anyway, he's drunk, so he just goes again, and you know, the real thing is how to transport his beer cans back and forth. And that is actually the only thing he's doing. It's pathetic, it's sad. From a spiritual point of view, it's tragical. A conditioned soul is finishing his life like this. Between beer cans, cannot even cut the grass to the end, completely spaced out and getting brown.
Nice one.
And then he will be brown dead body one day. And yeah, it's pathetic. When Prabhupada does this, he cried. Prabhupada cried. When he saw old man playing, golf, which he couldn't understand what it is, but he wanted to explain to him what golf is. He cried. How can they do this? They've completely wasted life. For nothing. You live just for nothing. This in Krishna consciousness we have something, you know? And you have that feeling. Actually, you did something which was worthwhile. And all these other things, how we are looking, how we are speaking, and sometimes doing things, yeah, it's trouble, you know, but it's of a very temporary nature. Whenever you really feel this devotee, it gives me so much hard time. I mean, it would be so peaceful in Krishna consciousness if this devotee wouldn't be here like that. Just picture yourself that you go to the doctor, you have a little pain, he tells you, oh, sorry, but you have a cancer, you have maybe 3 months to live. I know most of the devotees probably they will buy one-way ticket to India and that's it. And then you lie there in Vrindavan, they have a special room for this, you know. And then you just lie there waiting for it. And then they open the door, because you know in India they have always more people like rooms. And then they carry another one in. That's exactly the devotee you hated so much. Because he was a week after you informed that he also has a cancer. But then you are lying next to each other. Well, what you are going to do? Will you still think, I cannot take this devotee being here like that? Come on, you are both dying. On that point, suddenly things become so easy, you know. So what? I always think about this, you know, when you think, oh, this is too much. No, just imagine. We will be both informed tomorrow you are dying. Then what? What is the meaning of all this? I like you, I hate you, and all this kind of stuff. What is the meaning of it? You're all dying anyway. But it's not easy for the false ego to accept these facts. So even Prabhupada manifested he had the institutional part, he was fighting for the mission, he had to be very heavy, discriminative, not this hodgepodge philosophy nowadays preached, it's all, don't be judgmental. Prabhupada was very judgmental and very firm. So that was like in the line of duty. Like he banished a disciple. His disciple said, Prabhupada, you banished him. Prabhupada said, actually I didn't. I did it for his benefit, to wake him up. To really, the last thing you can do is just wham, slam the fist on the table. But Prabhupada said, actually I never banish anybody, But in the line of duty you have to do so many things. Arjuna had to kill his own relatives.
Line of duty?
Line of duty. That means it's your duty to do that.
Line of duty?
Line of duty. That's a military expression.
Yeah.
Like a soldier. He goes out, kill, and then he goes home and he's watching TV and petting his dog. And Prabhupada gave it as an example. He said, when you keep on killing at home, you are a criminal. But when you kill in the line of duty, that's your business, then you get even a reward. Yeah, thank you very much. So it's a little bit like that what we are doing. Because when we are constantly fighting with material energy, and that provokes agitation, that provokes difficulties, that provokes social friction, provokes so many things. But we have to go through this. This is a part of being part of the mission. That's all. We have a task to do. Because what is left after us is just what a taste people got, how many books went out, how much holy name they heard. That's left behind us. We are not going to be left. We are gone. Prabhupada said it over and again. He said, I'm an old man, I will die. We were going, oh, he is so humble, he is so humble. But he really meant it. He wanted to warn us, this is just a very brief time we are here together, and let's use it. But we were always thinking someone, we were really thinking Prabhupada will stay like this forever. I don't remember one devotee who was ever speaking about Prabhupada dying. We were, oh, Prabhupada ki jai, and Prabhupada is coming, and because Prabhupada also never let us know how much he is in pain. Incredibly tolerant. In Africa, Hare Krishna was there, he told me this. They had a crash, car crash, on the way to the program. Africa is easy to have a car crash. Prabhupada said, stop the car. And he vomited the blood, out of the car. And half an hour later he gave a proud lecture in front of the audience, didn't mention one thing. Devotees saw him going through such a hardship. His body was falling apart, Prabhupada was flying on an airplane going, and he was going, and he pulled out a tooth. Hari Sauri was next to him going, Prabhupada, you lost a tooth. Prabhupada said, you want to have it? Just gave him the tooth. Wow. Zero dental care. Hari Sauri told me, he showed me the tooth. He said, the real problem is it was such a cavities in the tooth that it was, incredible. There must have been some nerve also, But the tooth was completely in pieces in itself.